Hello, and welcome to the webinar here on surviving the loss of your child. First of all, I want to say that I'm so sorry that you're here, but yet again, I'm very grateful that you're here. The reason you are here is that you are the parent and you are grieving the loss of your child. So we're going to be talking a little bit, I'm going to be sharing some information on who I am and what it means to be accepting that loss of your child. And then I want to offer to you, through sharing my own personal stories, my own personal journey, the framework that I have used to be able to survive and move through this season in my life, travel this last journey, and then also reviewing a little bit about the obstacles that you'll be running into, and then wrapping up with the opportunity for you to be able to reach out to me and let's chat, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing. Let's talk a little bit about radical acceptance of your child. And I want to get this one just correct, so apologize for reading the direct quote, but radical acceptance applies to every crisis, every difficulty, every challenge in your life. Stress comes from wanting something to be what it isn't and doesn't change until you finally accept it for what it is, then make a decision as what to do next. This is from Oprah Winfrey in an interview that she was doing with Lady Gaga in one of her podcasts, Super Soul Conversations. And when I heard that, I immediately knew that applied to grief. And how does that apply? And it's because accepting something that we can't change. Yes, my heart breaks, is that the fact is that we've lost a child, and the only way to move through that is to be able to accept it and then make a conscious decision as to what our next step is. And so when we experience the loss of a child, we have emotions that run the gamut. They're all over the place: rage, anger, sadness, depression, grief, bouts of crying, and confusion. So many emotions that find it so difficult for us to be able to even think about the possibility of that life is never going to be the same as it was before. And what we do is we make a choice. We decide that we are open to moving forward. And that's why you're here. That's why you chose to watch the webinar, why you chose to take this time. So I want to thank you for doing that. And I want to welcome you in spite of the fact that you're the reason that you're here, but you chose to be here. Whether somebody sent you the video, you stumbled across it, that isn't what is important. What is important is that you were here and you're listening to it, and then you're open to really looking at the possibilities, and that there can be joy and happiness in spite of having lost a child. So grief is so unique. It's all on your own terms. And that's what I found, is that after the loss of my son, is that I had so many people offering me ways to process my grief, and I wasn't willing to accept what they were telling me because that was like the only way to do it. I was even at one point had a friend tell me how to do something and insisted that I do something, and I had to just very firmly tell her, thank you. I kept the information if I wanted it, and then I was able to move forward. But grief is on your own terms, and what I'm sharing here is painting a picture of what has worked for me as I've gone through it. Some of the things that can happen to you, in addition to all those emotions, is that how grief impacts us and our relationships. Those relationships can be with our spouse, they can be with our children, they can be at work. And when those just turn to such a disaster, we can wind up losing our jobs, or losing our marriage, or losing our friendships, and becoming isolated. Grief also has a horrible impact on our physical bodies, where we can gain weight, we can lose the weight, we have, anxiety and depression, and we don't sleep. So many things that can disrupt how we feel. And so what I'm here to give you is some hope that you can find some joy, that you don't have to deal with anxiety, that your relationships don't have to be broken. And I am here to help you process and move through this and learn to live in this new norm. And one of the other things I really want to help you do is to lose the guilt. You're not responsible for the child, for their passing. And that is one of the hardest things. We feel responsible. That child is given to us, no matter whether it's from a natural birth or, we've adopted them, or they're, come from another friend. But we feel so responsible because they've been given to us, and we're the person who's supposed to take care of them. And when we don't, we feel like we failed, that we've done something wrong. But I want you to understand that you are not responsible for the things that have happened. And grief, like I said, is on your own terms. But I also want to encourage you to understand the fact that we don't just get over grief. We just don't get over it. It needs to be intentional. You choose to take the steps to move you forward and move you through this season in your life. So my name is Peggy Green, and we're talking about the Child Loss Club. And the Child Loss Club is not one that, it's an exclusive one. It's not one that we're clamoring to get in. And you're here. You've been tossed into it unexpectedly. You've been thrown into it. You didn't receive an invitation that you could decline, but you were here. You were in it here and now. And I understand. I've been through child loss not just once, but twice. Yes, 2 times that I've experienced the death of a child. My first child, Courtney, passed away when she was only 9 months old. She was involved in a terrible accident at daycare. And I had received a phone call at work from the police, and they asked me to get a ride to the hospital as quickly as possible because something was wrong with Courtney. My heart started pounding. I didn't know what to do. I found a coworker who could take me to the hospital clear across town. It was rush hour, and it was horrific. My coworker darted in and out of traffic. He ran through stoplights. He, waved us into the lines of the traffic so we could get there as soon as possible. And when we did get there, we pulled into the emergency room driveway, and there were 2 men standing there. One was my dad, because I called my parents earlier. I was unable to get in touch with my then husband. And the other man I recognized as soon as I walked up to him. His name badge said chaplain. And so that I knew immediately that Courtney was gone. I knew that she was dead. And Dad confirmed my fears. It was horrible. We went into the room where my mom was waiting, and I was just in total shock. I couldn't believe it. And then my second child, Connor, took his own life just a few months shy of turning 25. Connor was the light of my life. He was the only boy in my children. He was a great kid. He wasn't bad. He just had some struggles. And to him, he found that life it was too big of a challenge. And that wasn't something that was going to work for him. I received a phone call from his sister. They worked at car dealerships that were next to each other. They were often found helping each other. And it was in a rush hour traffic. And I received that phone call from her on a work phone. I answered it, and I heard her say something like, yeah, I know. He hasn't been feeling well lately. And when I called out her name on the phone, she just didn't answer. And so I hung up, called her back on her personal phone. And when she answered, she told me, I just don't know how to tell you this, Mom. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to tell you, but Connor's dead. And I couldn't believe it. There was no way. No way. Two children? I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to survive it. So I am a member of this club twice. I've also survived other losses, family losses. My dad passed away from cancer when he was only 69. and my sister was only 53 when she passed away from cancer. And both of them, their cancer came up after stressful life events. And I can't say that the stress, caused their cancer, but I do know that stress causes oxidative stress, which can weaken the immune system, and you can be more vulnerable to getting sick. And I really believe that happened. And I know from the deepest of my heart that I don't want that to happen. I still have two girls to live for. They are my life, my precious, my purpose. And I now have a grandson. They are my purpose, and I want to stay healthy and to be around for them. My mom also passed away from cancer and a myriad of other diseases. And I've also experienced divorce. And I tell you, with all these things, I have experienced so much loss in my life. It's been horrible. But you know what? I've been strong. I've been resilient. And optimism has paid off in all these circumstances because I know that I've made it through once, twice, and I can make it through anything else that's tossed at me. And as I mentioned, I have a purpose now. My purpose is for my family. I also have a niece and a nephew, and they are my purpose. And also in this tragedy, I have found that my purpose is to share hope and joy through my experiences, through what's worked for me. I've been optimistic. I've been blessed with answers on how to deal with this. And some of the things that I've done is I've attended Al-Anon, which is a 12-step program for friends and family of alcoholics. My ex-husband, Jesse, was an alcoholic. My two kids, Brittany and Connor, went through 12-step programs. And so I learned some very valuable tools. Didn't cause, can't control, and can't cure what's happening. And with that, I want to share with you is that you can rid yourself of the guilt of what's happened. It's so hard, and I understand, but you can rid yourself of the guilt because you couldn't cure it and you didn't cause it. Also, another thing that's been huge is my vulnerability. And that's where that comes in, and even sharing everything that's happened to me. I find that the more vulnerable that I am and coming from my heart, it gives me the courage to share what's happened and the courage to help you and step out of my comfort zone. And vulnerability came about because I participated and have participated in a program by Brene Brown and follow her. She is the queen of personal development. She is the master of it. And so as we go through this, I find my purpose is my girls and you and helping you. And the only way that I've been able to do that is to think of the analogy of the acronym, or the analogy of putting on your face mask, your oxygen mask. Every time you board an airplane, you get the same old standard soundbite where they tell you, in the event that the oxygen mask drop, be sure to put yours on first. Put it on first so that you can help those around you. And that is the same way for this grief. We feel that it's important for us to take care of ourselves because we have others that I know are counting on us. I know you have people that are counting on you to be strong and to be able to lead them in this journey. And that's what we're doing, is we're putting on your oxygen mask first. So we're going to be talking about the framework for regaining joy, and really it's to pass through this season. My intention is to help you in the grieving process, to make it easier. And the framework, let's just give you like a 10,000-foot overview here. We'll be talking about journaling, finding your support system, finding your higher power, talking about the elephant in the room and how to deal with it, and how to deal with loved ones' belongings, how to create memorials, how to process and get through birthdays and the holidays, and then explore how personal growth can help you in this grief process. So I want to let you know that I've organized these according to what I feel is the easiest, that takes the less effort. And the thing is that as you go through all these, some may apply now, some may apply later. You have them all in your toolbox and you can use them, come back to them, pull this one out, use it. You may use them together. And the thing is also is that these don't apply just to the physical grief of the loss of a child, but they're tools that you can use in every circumstance for your life. So the journey will not be easy. It's going to be so much better when you're on the other side. And that's what my hope is for you, is discover your purpose and let's walk this journey together. So the first framework that we're going to go ahead in a few minutes and discuss is talk about journaling. And journaling is like getting it out, writing it down. Why do you want to do that? Well, for one, it's so easy to do. And you can express your emotions. It's so easy because all you need is a pen and a piece of paper or a notebook. And there's no rules. You can free journal every thought that comes down. You can write down your anger, why you're angry. You can write down your confusion and why you can't figure it out. You can write to God. You know, there's just no right or wrong way to do this. It's just a free flow of your thoughts. You can also put in there all the positive memories of your child or things that you want to make sure that you remember. So grabbing that notebook. And one of the things I do recommend that you do is that you take it, at least date it, because in that way you can go back and look at it. And, you know, believe me, it's been very helpful for me to go back and review my journals, because that's where I started when things happened with Courtney, and I was able to see my progress. And it can help to bring clarity by journaling. Next steps. What are you going to do? How are you going to process? And it's the simple things even. Hey, what am I going to have for dinner? You don't have to make big choices, but when you put it on paper, it keeps your brain from being on overdrive. It helps to clear your mind. So our next framework is finding your tribe. Your tribe is those who are really going to support you during this time. It is so difficult. Losing a child is unique. It's an experience we don't want to be a part of, and others just don't know how to deal with it. And so what I really suggest is finding others who have that similar experience, because you're speaking the same language, you understand the same thing. So that's one place to look for community. I found community with my business and my business partners. I found community at my church. I had friends that have been with me through both losses of both Courtney and Connor. They've been community. And then I have new people who are with me now. And I tell you, it has helped me to be able to be empathetic to others, because I can now understand what they're going through, and then also grow into my maturity and helping others. And then this is one that's really quite interesting, I find, is giving back to the community. When we give back to others, we take ourselves remove ourselves from our own grief and misery. And then what happens with that is that we help others who are in a horrible place as well. We can lift others up. And what that does, that actually creates better endorphins in our body and helps to elevate our mood, helps to reduce our depression. So giving back to others and volunteering is an amazing thing to help us. And those people can be your tribe. And it can also, your tribe can prevent you from becoming totally isolated. They'll keep you from wanting to crawl underneath your bed covers and stay there. They will check on you. Finding that tribe, it can be 2 or 3 people that are your close inner circle. So our next framework is finding your higher power. And for me, my higher power is actually God, and I choose to speak of God. Now, God may not be your higher power, but I will refer to the higher power as God. But I suggest that you decide what you want to do. Do you want to believe or not believe in that higher power? Because that higher power gives us, we surrender, because we take off the responsibility of things that have happened and give that to our higher power, giving it to God. And that is surrender, helps us to relieve the guilt of anything that has happened. I want to share with you an important lesson that I learned at Connor's memorial service. The pastor, as he was giving the sermon, was just led to believe that so many people at Connor's service didn't have a belief in God and were angry with God for allowing Connor to take his life. Instead, what the pastor said was that Connor had God by his side, and God was telling him, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't take your life, don't end it. I'm here with you. But God also gave Connor free will. Connor made that choice. He made that decision to end it all. I can't do anything about that. I don't like his choice, but I do have the choice on how I deal with his choice. So some of the other things that have been so very helpful to me is I read a book called Signs. And what that is signs from the other side, that our loved ones are really telling us that they're with us, they're supporting us at all times, whether it be good times or bad times. And using a medium, somebody actually connecting with Connor has been beneficial. My very first consultation or session was several months after Connor had passed, and he shared that he felt like he had a brown bag over his head and he just didn't know what to do. He was so stuck. That helped to explain why he made that choice. I have to live by that. And something else, just to kind of give you some insight here, is that thinking about a seed, and a seed gets planted in the dirt and covered over. Well, that's what we are, is that we're that seed and we're given that opportunity to grow. Okay, it gets nurtured, it gets watered, and the sun starts to shine on us. So God is the one that is helping us to grow. He's helping because we pray and we talk to God. So the next area, the framework, is talking about the elephant in the room. And I tell you, this one is huge. What happened to me on that elephant in the room was that Courtney had passed away, and her grandmother had a small little apple decoration, and on that was little ornaments with the names of each one of her grandchildren. All the other grandchildren knew about Courtney, knew her name, except my two. And at that time, it was Brittany and Connor, both who were born after Courtney passed away. And when Brittany and Connor could start to read, Grandma would take off that apple and set it aside because she was afraid that Brittany and Connor would read it and then question, who's Courtney? So I finally was able to share with them who Courtney was. Penny, my sister, she really spent some time and created a photo album, which I used to tell Brittany and Connor about their sister. And that opened up the elephant in the room. It dispelled it because I couldn't talk about her and mention her in front of Brittany and Connor. And friends couldn't talk about her, family couldn't talk about her. So this opened up that communication where it wasn't taboo to be able to talk about her. And I found that it was a place to heal, helping me process. And when we talk about that, it's really important that we share with our friends and family how we want to talk about them and say, hey, do I have permission to talk about them? Would you like me to talk about your child? I have some personal memories of your child. You could say that to them that I would love to share. And I tell you, as a grieving mother, that's really a wonderful way to get to know our child, the things that we never knew about them. Next is how to deal with loved ones' belongings and creating a memorial. And this one is tough as well. Remember, I talked that we start out with some of the easier framework pieces, and now we transition to some that are so much more heartfelt and harder to deal with and complicated. So the way I cleaned out Connor's room, he was living in a house with some roommates, and he didn't believe in a lot of possessions. He had a bed and a nightstand and his TV and his Xbox, and then he had brought over some furniture, some dining room furniture and a kitchen set. And we decided to leave those bigger items at the house because we knew that the boys could use them. But the things in his bedroom, we decided to take with us. Now, as we cleaned out his closet, we gave some of his t-shirts, his tie-dye t-shirts to his roommates, because Connor loved tie-dye Fridays. He had the opportunity, he was wearing it. He was wearing it underneath his dress shirt with his coat, with his sport coat. And so he loved those, and we were able to share those. And collecting his belongings, we shared some, and each one of us picked some that were special. Then we had a whole bunch of them that were left over. And so we bagged those up, brought them home, and put them in the garage. And I tell you, I had to look at those every single day. And so just recently at one of my gratitude brunches, we normally put together bags of homeless essentials, and then we pass those out to the people that we meet along the way. Well, this year they received an extra benefit, and they received a shirt from Connor that we thought that they would be able to benefit from. So the other thing is going through their things, and that's not easy. You know, you may be able to do a little bit at one time, and then do some more, and then do some more. There's no time frame on it. It's more of what your needs are physically and mentally. And now to talk a little bit about how to remember your child. Well, this can be a tough one as well. Siblings could be involved with this, or parents can fight about it. You know, the thing is too, is that it helps with closure. And I found that having siblings involved in this process helps them to be able to heal. And so important that you be able to choose your timeline and decide what and where is going to work for you. So we ordered a living urn with Connor's ashes and a small sapling tree. And we thought that it wouldn't be any issue to be able to plant that tree, but what we found was that there were too many rules and regulations. Connor would have loved to have been planted on forest ground, but we aren't close to forest ground, and so we found we had to come up with something a little bit different. And now, because Connor loved to skateboard, we're going to erect a tree of a decent size, like 3 or 4 inches, at the skate park, scatter his ashes, and then we still have yet to find where we want to put the sapling. I live in a condo, so I don't have access and authority to put out a sapling. But I think we're going to find some place that's really going to be pleasing to Connor. And now, talking about coping with birthdays and holidays and the first. Well, Connor took his life on December 14th, just a few short days before Christmas, before my birthday, and before the new year. And what we tried to do was just try to create as normal as a year as possible, even though our hearts were breaking. We spoke about Connor some, and the special thing that I did for remembering Connor was I had seen on Facebook a thing about taking a white envelope and putting a gift in the deceased person's honor in it, and then the family could take that envelope down and see what was being done. So when Connor passed away, he had a dog. Mac was a great dog. He's part Pit Bull and Saint Bernard, and I wanted him to be taken care of. So in that envelope, we put money in for Mac's new caretaker, Sam, to take care of him for the next year. And that is one thing that helped us to honor Connor with what he was doing. And now, with my birthday being so shortly thereafter, we tried to make it as normal as possible. We went to the same place, we did the same thing. And so this was something I had mentioned earlier, is that you can choose to whether or not to do the same thing or do something entirely different. So we did the same thing because it was something that brought joy to my heart. And so there is no right or wrong way to be able to do this. What I do like is having others share their memories about Connor. Schoolmates and classmates are great resources for this. And our final framework is self-care. And I mentioned it briefly, but the effects of grief on the physical body. When we don't take care of ourselves, our immune system breaks down. And you may wind up with things like pneumonia or bronchitis or colds or the flu, and you can't take care of yourself. And it's really important to be able to be processing and getting through this season. And what does self-care mean? It means that you become a priority and you put yourself first. And the benefits of that is that you stay healthy, you have a purpose, and you feel so much better. And some of those self-care things are like exercise and getting enough water, getting the sleep that you need, eating the right foods, even meditation or breath work and yoga. And I tell you, I've done a little bit of all of those. On the day of Connor's memorial service, I got up and ran. And I'm so grateful that I did because it grounded me. Running grounds me. It makes me feel so much better. And then I was also blessed with a sunrise not to be forgotten. It was just so beautiful. And I didn't know it, but looking back on it, Connor was sending me a sign. That sign was that, Mom, you're going to be okay. And so I'm forever grateful for that, that's what the exercise did, is help me to get out and see that. I also really focus a lot on nutrition and taking care of myself. I've been taking fruits and vegetables in a capsule for 10 years. And I know that it's helped me over the years. I used to get bronchitis and just get sick. I don't get sick anymore. My youngest daughter used to get strep throat. She doesn't get sick anymore. I know that it protects my DNA. I know that it helps prevent the breakdown of my immune system. And like my dad and my sister, I want to make sure that I don't get cancer. And I'm doing everything in my power. I can't guarantee it, but I can definitely reduce the risk of getting it. So I've been taking Juice Plus, and I tell you, it has been amazing. And it gives me that peace of mind because I know going through this grief, it's easy to turn to processed foods and sugars because they're comfort foods, foods that we have known, but that makes us so much more sicker. And it's important. This gives that peace of mind. It makes it easy. It's the easy step to be able to take care of myself. Meditation is just taking the time to breathe and relax. So self-care doesn't always mean busy either. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm running to this appointment or seeing this person or whatever, but it's slowing down. I think in developing that appreciation for life. And then, can grief be an impetus to personal growth? I truly believe it can. It has been for me. And so what is personal growth? It's a change in behavior and habits resulting in good, positive changes and learning new tools, new techniques of doing things. And I tell you, personal growth has given me a new appreciation of life. Knowing that life can change on a dime, I take the opportunity to tell those that I love them, that I slow down, and then I don't fill my life full of busyness. Personal growth has been developing my relationship with God and understanding even more and connecting and knowing that God loves me. Appreciation, how about empowering yourself? Giving yourself the ability to take care of yourself, take care of others. That personal growth gives you direction and focus. So I have leaned into the personal growth. I mentioned Brene Brown, and also the other things that I love to do. One of the things I never dreamed I would be doing is to write a book. Yeah, that was pretty scary for me. I never imagined it. I've also leaned into the fact that I am strong, that I never thought I would have to be Wonder Woman. and I am, and I'm surviving, and I've created new values. It's not about the stuff. I tell you, it's really a lot more about the experiences and the people that I spend time with. So if I can do it, you can do it. Grief, grief is a tough journey. It is a long journey. It does get better through time. And the thing is that you can run into different obstacles. As you sit down to journal, you may question, gosh, is this really for me? Does it work? What value does it have? You may stop and start multiple times. You may feel overwhelmed. Or when you go to look for your tribe, you may be just confused and don't trust anybody because they don't understand you, or you find it difficult to find people who understand you and what you're going through. Somebody may expect you to, be over it already, no matter where you are. I have a friend that at about 6 months, when I called her, she told me she was worried about me, but in between the lines, I could tell she was saying, you should be over this. And that wasn't the case. I needed to be able to count on my tribe. And when we talk about the elephant in the room, not everybody is going to want to talk about your child. I can guarantee that. But you do want to give those who want to talk about your child, or those who you want to support you, permission to talk about your child. So that's really important. But they may not want to do it. They may want to run away from you. They don't understand. They may think that you should be over it. Now, when it comes to your higher power, all kinds of things can go with that. It can be emotionally charged. You may have people say that there's no God. You may have people say that, gosh, it doesn't make any sense. Why would God let your child die? Why does that happen? You may doubt God yourself. Now, when it comes to remembering your child, conflict in between parents, in between family members, where to create a memorial, if you're creating a physical memorial, when to place it, how to do it, what's the verbiage on it. So you may run into troubles with that. Or even, like I mentioned with the Ashes for Connor, it's rules and regulations. Or if you want to create a memorial on the side of the road, you have to deal with the safety and traffic department. All kinds of things that you can bump into when you're creating those memorials. Holidays and birthdays, they are so difficult. They really are. But having that mindset, and how do you get through that? People may not remember your birthday, and you have that expectation, and they just don't. Those are some of the things that can go wrong there. And now when it comes to personal growth, I tell you, other people may not want you to grow. You may be afraid of growing because you don't know what to expect. You are here. You have hung out here with me to hear what I have to say. You are here because you lost a child and you want help to move through this. This is a lost journey, a journey that's an extended period of time. It will get easier. You will never get over the loss of your child, but you will be able to move through it. So I'm here to help you as another grieving parent in moving forward. I'm here. I'm here now. I'm that empath. I am your friend who understands. I am strong. I am a warrior. I am Wonder Woman. I am blessed because I've made it through so many losses. Courtney, Dad, Penny, Mom, and Connor. I've been there, and I have the framework that I've used. I have the framework that has worked for me. I want to share with you that there is hope. There is hope that you can find joy and happiness and return to a normal life. It's a new standard, but you have hope. Now, if I can do it, you can do it. I believe in you. I know that there's people out there that are counting on you to be so strong, to help you make it through this and come out on the other side. Now, the pain will lessen if you're willing to be intentional and to work about it. So what I want to share with you is that because this is such a journey, that I want to be one of those people who can help you process it. I would love to meet with you for 30 minutes and determine what your next steps are and how I can help you and see what piece of this framework is working for you. You may listen to it and never walk through it. And sometimes having somebody be accountable to you and help you go through this is the best thing that you can do. And I can be that for you. So the best way to be in touch with me is to reach to me through email. And that email address is peggy.griefrecovery@gmail.com. This time I'll spell it for you. PEGGRIEFRECOVERY@gmail.com. You can do this. You can find joy and happiness once again. Contact me. Let's hold hands. Let me walk by your side. I would be honored to spend some time getting to know you. Just send me that email. And I want to thank you again for joining me, and I wish you a good day.